Who is Yae Miko? This powerful but mysterious woman is none other than the head shrine maiden at the Grand Narukami Shrine, and editor of her own successful publishing house. Yae is a kitsune and close, trusted friend of A, or the Raiden Shogun, Inazuma's Archon herself. Does this servant of eternity sound fascinating to you? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome back everyone, I'm Slick, and today we're discussing the entire lore of Yae Miko. If you enjoy discussing Teyvat lore, make sure you, well, maybe just gently tap the subscribe button this time. Did you do it? Thanks! On with the lore.
I am the Guuji of the Grand Narukami Shrine. The purpose of my visit is to monitor your every move, for such is the order of the shrine. Oh, come on, don't be so nervous. It's only officialese, for goodness sake. I couldn't just go gallivanting around for no reason at all, could I? Now, come on, do something amusing for me.
Yae is a descendant of kitsune, or a type of yokai that can be translated to fox spirit. Though don't get confused, they're not ghosts, they're seen as a type of fox with a long life and mysterious powers. In folklore, kitsune are thought to possess magic and a higher intelligence that gets more powerful with age. They're often depicted with multiple tails, usually up to 9, which indicate their age and power. Yae can be seen with 5 tails when using her burst, and 1 with her elemental skill or plunging attack. They're said to have the ability to shapeshift into human or other form, which Yae is shown to be able to do, as it's talked about in her character stories, and we almost always see her in her human form since she refuses to reveal her fox form to the traveler. As a kitsune, she can be rather mischievous. This includes at her job as Guuji and as the owner of Yae's publishing house. She's also impressively good at both manipulating and reading people. This often makes others like Goro and Toma terrified at the sight of her. The tricks she plays are usually elaborate and out of her own enjoyment. Though she's not all about pranks, she does have an emotional side and shows to care about those important to her and considers the countless yokai around Inazuma to be her friends.
My favorite pastime is reading other people's stories. My second favorite is watching other people squirm. If I could find a way to combine the two... oh, that would be entertainment in its purest form.
Yae Miko's personality is described with the analogy of mirror fragments. She can seem any sort of way she wants, cheerful, solemn, sympathetic, and nobody really knows the truth of her personality. Many have tried to figure her out, but very few have succeeded. She's able to blend into any situation, just how she blends in as a human. This isn't all because she's trying to hide something though, quite the opposite actually. She's just the type to do whatever she wants to do, whenever she wants to do it, and people get confused by that. At one time, a well-written and genre-targeted story manuscript was submitted to Yae by another one of the publishing house editors. Though they were sure their work was amazing, Yae Miko was not pleased with it. She gave the opinion that the book was shackled by the topic and not free enough. And though it was written in the format of other top sellers at the time, she told the writer not to focus on this because trends change with the decades, and to focus on the writing itself. A while later, another manuscript was submitted. It was titled Shogun Almighty, Reborn as Raiden. The other writers didn't really approve, but Yae Miko loved it. She was only concerned with one part, the author's name. She said it was too normal for a book like that, and so she gave them a new pen name.
I decided to found Yae Publishing House simply because I wished to read more interesting light novels, that's all. But it turns out that seeing frazzled authors scraping the bottom of the barrel in a desperate attempt to get their novels finished is where the real amusement comes from. You wouldn't believe some of the excuses they come up with when they're trying to get a deadline extension. Oh, so much more creative than the novels themselves.
Something Yae, as a long-living kitsune and servant of the Electro Archon, which seems to expand lifespans, has to deal with is boredom. Hundreds of years can seem to pass very quickly for her, and as the Guuji, she can't always live as exciting of a life as she would always like. Such as, during ceremonies, Yae must perform her duties by attending every shrine ceremony, instead of partaking in the festivities. Though she doesn't see the issue with using her authority as Guuji in order to create some entertainment for herself. Such as once ordering Naganohara fireworks to be dropped off by the Yashiro Commission to be set off after the ceremony. She's even mentioned this to the Raiden Shogun, telling her that she never told her she'd never be able to watch the festivities again as Guuji. Fun and mischief keep Yae going throughout her everyday life. She also enjoys studying humanity, and certain like-minded people are able to catch her eye. One of these people being Kano Nana, a novel enthusiast who always seems to overly worry about Sayu. Sometimes Yae will watch as Sayu runs off, closely followed by an angry Kano Nana. She'll even sometimes give Kano wrong directions as to which way Sayu ran in order to prolong the chaos. Sometimes Yae will transform herself into an average human and descend from the mountain for some time in a town. She'll visit restaurants, the Asia bathhouse, getting fox fur stuck in the water, and every shop she can possibly find. And at the end of this adventure, she'll stop by Bantan Sango Detective Agency and tell them about all the missing animals she's heard about, and how desperately they need to be brought home, and sometimes this frustrates Kujo-Sara.
Humans are just fascinating creatures. That's why I'm so fond of them. They live such short lives, but for the time they're around, they shine as bright as the midday sun. There are some whose light never grows dim, even over great stretches of time. These are the lives that make for real page-turners.
A long time ago in Teyvat, the yokai such as Tengu, Oni, Tanuki, and Kitsune all used to walk among the humans. Under the Narukami, their powers are used to help the humans through an era of poverty. When seeking refuge in the mountains, they built a city near the sea, which turned into Inazuma. The lineage of Hakushi and Kitsune were some of the most well-known, and it's that line that have left many great stories. Whenever the yokai gathered, they would often share stories with one another. Kitsune Saigu was the organizer of such events, and would regularly host many yokai. Yurakusai loved telling stories to the other yokai, as they would all listen intently. But it was young Yae Miko who would nitpick the details and go back and forth with him over it, until eventually Saigu would make them stop and continue, as the rest of the yokai wanted the story to be told. Some of these stories have been passed down through the generations, but today the yokai's remaining bloodlines are growing smaller and smaller. But Yae still remembers these long, fun nights. Maybe that's where she gets her love of storytelling. Not too long ago, more than half of the 5 artisan lineages of Inazuma were cut off due to a conspiracy. Many were all banished by the shogun. The Kamisato clan were impacted by this due to their failure in supervising their subordinates. But before the shogun could banish them, Yae Miko, who almost never involves herself in politics, stepped in. She saved them from that fate, and while their reputation still wasn't great, at least they were still around. Many people would speculate why the Guuji would step in for them, wondering why she'd do something that seemed to be a greater risk than anything, and not wise. Many different stories popped up. Yae wanted people under her control for power, she did it because she suspected something was wrong with the situation, or even speculation that she was in secret talks with the clan itself. The speculations have never amounted to anything though, and Yae has never regretted her decision. The Fire Soothing Festival Committee was an organization run by the Tenryou Commission and managed by the Grand Narukami Shrine. Their goal was to pray for a lack of fires in the coming year, as many buildings in Inazuma were constructed of wood at the time, and a singular house fire could cause a lot of damage. Years later though, fire precautions would be much more common and serious injuries wouldn't often occur, yet the committee still remained. The Shrine Maidens would dance and the people of Inazuma would give donations, with the proceeds being split 40-60 between the Shrine and the Tenryou Commission. When Yae was having financial issues when starting Yae's publishing house, she looked into the services that the Shrine ran and came across this old committee. She pointed out that all the work is done by the Shrine Maidens, so why does Mora go to the Tenryou Commission? After some changes in preparation, instead of featuring dancing Shrine Maidens, that year's Fire Soothing Festival would feature a light novel submission contest. All of the profits went to the Shrine's coffers, though the Tenryou commissioners weren't very happy about that, and Yae cared little and sent them on their way when they showed up to her publishing house. Something Yae Miko absolutely loves is fried tofu. As a kitsune, she can hardly resist its delicious flavor.
Heat oil on a medium-high flame in a pot. Add the tofu and reduce the heat to a low flame. Cook until golden brown, take it out, then serve piping hot. There you have it, fried tofu. There's nothing more delicious in this world. Well, I've told you how to make it, have I not? Why are you still standing there?
Yae Miko likes to have fun with stories of how she got her vision. Speaking to the traveler, she tells them stories of a contest of magic where her and the other Shrine Maidens marched up Mount Yugo. They were faced with an enemy, and just before they struck, a bolt of lightning came down before Yae, presenting a vision. The traveler questioned if that's what really happened, and Yae replied with another story about a ramen duel. The traveler didn't believe this silly story either. Yae loves the traveler's curiosity, asking if they'd believe her if she told them that her vision was purely ornamental and just for show.
You're saying you like how I wear my vision? You certainly have an eye for a priceless treasure. Well then, I bet you'd like to pet it.
So, do we really know how Yae Miko got her vision? I'm afraid this story's kind of lost to time and Yae's playfulness. Anyway, if you've enjoyed, please subscribe and let me know which character you'd like me to talk about next.